Empieza el programa de mayor ambiente, Planeta X, a través del 590 AM y por internet en planetaxlive.com.
Hola, muy buenas tardes a todos. Bienvenidos a Planeta X Show. Pues mire, aquí con su servidora Perla Pérez, el día de hoy vamos a tener una gran sorpresa. Vamos aquí a practicar nuestro inglés más tarde. Y pues miren, aquí de este lado tengo a Sergio que nos acompaña el día de hoy. Bienvenido, Sergio, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, Perla, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, bien, gracias a Dios. Mira, ¿cómo ves? Frito, ¿verdad?
Ahora ya nos agarró el frío.
Sí, ya nos agarró muy pronto. Casi no nos duró nada el verano. Ahí está, ¿ya listo?
Ahora sí. Listo. Se oye muy fuerte.
Ok. Bueno, como les había comentado, el día de hoy tenemos una sorpresa. Tenemos un invitado especial, es un nutricionista. Él se llama Walter Rivers. Él nos va a estar acompañando en unos cuantos minutitos el día de hoy para darnos consejos de nutrición, más que nada, para hablarnos un poquito de él y lo que él está ofreciendo a lo que es la comunidad, referente a las dietas, ejercicio y todo eso. ¿Tú nos podrías decir un poquito más, Sergio?
Sí, es un buen amigo que he estado trabajando con él ya varios años. Él se encarga de prácticamente... Oiga, oigo muy fuerte. Oigo muy fuerte, el eco.
Ok, está un poquito muy fuerte el volumen.
Ahora sí.
¿Ahora sí?
Ya, es que no quería estar gritando. Muy bien. Sí, no, he trabajado con él, he hecho algo de publicidad. Su meta siempre cuando él comienza a trabajar con cualquier persona es que estemos que nuestro cuerpo, no nomás que estemos físicamente bien, sino es pues por cuestión de salud, no nada más que vayas al ejercicio para que te veas bien musculoso o bien guapo, sino porque simplemente el ejercicio es como el pan de cada día.
Claro. Sí, muchos de repente nada más nos queremos ver bien, pero en realidad no nos importa qué es lo que tenemos que comer mejor, ¿no? A veces no nos importa lo que comemos, simplemente con que me vea bien delgadita, flaquita y con músculo es lo que importa, ¿no? Más que nada el físico, ¿no?
Sí, y bueno, aparte la cuestión de estar en un físico bien, con los músculos bien salidos y una mujer con su cinturita y todo eso, es solamente, es un atractivo, pero a la vez nosotros siempre nos atrae lo que es, no ciertamente, bueno, sí lo físico, claro, ¿da? Pero nos atrae más que todo ver una persona saludable. Claro. Entonces, realmente alguien que tiene buen cuerpo, que no estás obeso o muy flaco, la atracción es simplemente es una atracción natural a que nosotros queremos a alguien que esté saludable.
Exacto. E incluso, pues, ¿qué dicen? Que casi el 80% es lo que uno come.
El dicho es, eres lo que comes. Y realmente las enfermedades también, igual lo que comes son las enfermedades que vas a generar. Ya después de los 30 años, ya nuestro cuerpo deja de producir muchas vitaminas que producía, defensas que producía naturalmente. O igual empiezas a perder músculo y a ganar grasa. ¿Y qué sucede de que se enferma uno más fácil? Fíjate que como los músculos, no tan fácil después de los 30 años, sí lo puedes hacer, pero te cuesta más trabajo que cuando comenzaste en los 20. Correcto. Sí, fíjate, a veces enfocarse nada más en ejercicio o hay gente que nomás se enfoca en perder peso o es una combinación, es una buena alimentación, un buen ejercicio y no nomás perder peso, porque de repente cuántos casos no ha habido de muchachas que arriesgan su vida con tal de perder peso. De hecho, pues la enfermedad, la anorexia, que de repente, igual, lo que te decía, que la gente se ve bien, pero por dentro están mal. No, entonces, es importante que hagamos ejercicio, ya no tanto para vernos bien, sino para vivir mejor, para que las actividades que hacemos diariamente no sea algo
Más que nada, tener el cuerpo sano, ¿no? El cuerpo sano, porque a veces hacemos, como dices, mucho ejercicio y todo, pero no comemos correctamente. O las cosas que tenemos que comer, perdón.
Sí, no, y la cosa es de que estamos ya en la cadena de lo rápido, en que se nos hace a veces más fácil llegar a un restaurante de comida rápida y comer lo que sea y se nos olvida que
Yo digo que por partes tú tienes la culpa, Sergio, con toda esa publicidad que le haces a todos esos buenos restaurantes. Uno de los culpables es Sergio.
Ya ves. Pero yo también había escuchado que incluso comida rápida como una ensalada de McDonald's en realidad contiene bastante azúcar. Sí. Y uno piensa que está comiendo sano y en realidad no estamos comiendo sano.
Y los aderezos.
Sí,
es pura mayonesa, pura grasa.
Bueno, una cosa que tú dices, Sergio, que ya las muchachas cada día a día se van cuidando más y más. Uno de los nuevos estudios por ahí que dice que la mayoría de mujeres europeas están optando por tener cesárea a tenerlo de manera tradicional a un bebé, por cuidar el cuerpo.
Sí.
Y eso es más bien, cuidan a su pareja, ¿no? Para que no se...
Pues para que pueda, pues no ser señorita, ¿verdad? Obviamente, pero digo, no descomponer la máquina, se están cuidando de esa manera.
Wow. Aquí lo más fácil es que lo hacen cuando, para ganar más dinero, ¿no? Los hospitales.
Bueno, depende, ¿no? ¿Ha llegado a escuchar un comentario así, pero entre mujeres, como diciendo, ya tengo 3, yo lo he escuchado, ya tengo 3 hijos, 4 hijos, y ya todo está desconchinflado?
Pues sí, ¿no? Sí sucede.
Entonces, ¿sí será una opción? ¿Lo han llegado a pensar las damas?
No, wow. Yo nunca había pensado en tener cesárea, incluso como que sí me da miedo eso, pero
sí.
No lo había escuchado, la verdad.
Fíjate, y cae otra vez en lo mismo de que lo que sucede, yo he visto a muchas mujeres después de que tienen 2, 3 hijos y tienen un cuerpazazo, olvídate, pero porque se cuidan, me imagino que se cuidan con también igual con un nutriólogo, van con alguien que las guíe y que les diga cómo se tienen que cuidar, porque pues no creo que la mayoría de las mujeres sepan exactamente cómo cuidarse, aunque ahorita hay mucha información, le pones en Google y puedes sacar cualquier tiempo, a que también hay mala información, pero depende si la página a la que estás visitando es confiable. Yo creo que sí, la información está en nuestras manos, en el teléfono.
Sí. E incluso ahorita de lo que hablabas, Javi, casi la mayor parte de las artistas tienen cesárea, ¿verdad?
Sí, bueno, otro de los misterios por ahí que está corriendo, que Beyoncé no cargó, como se dice, no cargó ese huevo o ese embrio, que alguien más lo tuvo por ella. Pero que sí es el huevo de ella y es el esperma de él, ¿no?
De él. E incluso también dijeron lo mismo de Thalía, ¿no? Que supuestamente ella no estaba embarazada. So, bueno, I guess que si ellos lo pueden pagar, pues ¿por qué no, verdad?
Fíjate que todo lo que hace la gente, tanto que pagan y todo eso, y es bueno, le podría decir por flojera, porque igualmente lo pueden hacer y que no les salga tan caro, nomás que les cuesta más trabajo. Las cosas que les cuestan trabajo ya la verdad las quieren hacer más fácil.
Sí, lo quieren hacer más fácil para uno. Bueno, pues digo, y ellos igual, si tienen el dinero, pues me imagino que por eso lo hacen. No se van a sacrificar sus cuerpos ni nada de eso, ¿me entiendes? porque igual ellos son figura pública y pues ellos viven también de su cuerpo, de su apariencia.
Claro. Tienen que explotar, ¿no? A lo máximo. Y si pueden evitarlo, yo creo que sería una opción. Sergio, ¿tú dejarías que tu esposa prestara el huevo para que otra hembra lo cargara?
Para que lo cargara mi esposa.
No. Para que lo cargara otra dama
persona.
por ustedes.
Yo creo que no, porque pierdes, aunque en el ADN salga que es tu hijo, de todos modos, no vivir esa experiencia es algo que no la puede reemplazar con nada.
Además, tiene que ver las sangres de ella, ¿no? De la mamá, de lo que la va cargando.
Pues la va a alimentar 9 meses.
Sí, yo no lo haría porque es como dice Sergio, te perderías de todo eso. O sea, es padre estar embarazada, criar tu bebé, sentirlo. O sea, a pesar de que duele bastante cuando lo vas a tener, pero vale la pena, la verdad, vale la pena.
Fíjate, precisamente yo estaba hablando con mi esposa acerca de eso, acerca de desde cuándo te enamoras de tu bebé, cuándo comienza el amor. Ahí ella me dijo, yo desde el primer momento que lo empecé a sentir, ya lo amaba. Le digo, bueno, pero tiene que ser amarlo del 1 al 10, ¿cuánto es? Dice, no, pues 10. Le digo, no, pues yo no. Ya no.
Sí, yo apenas uno.
No, yo aunque no lo sentía, creo que va llegando.
Sí.
Al hombre es más lento para que se encariñe, ¿no? Con eso, es que uno de mujer, es que uno ya lo sabe, que ya lo tiene ahí y ya con eso es más que suficiente.
Pues bueno, a veces, por ejemplo, estábamos hablando en el caso de que cuando ha habido embarazos que se les complicó y que se murió su niño dentro de ellas. Y ¿qué sería? Bueno, todas las muertes son malas, pero ¿qué te dolería más ya cuando el niño tiene 1 año o cuando tiene 2 años o cuando lo tienes en el vientre? Porque pues nunca lo conociste, nunca viste su sonrisa.
Wow. Para mí dolería en cualquier momento. Es que uno de mujer es más diferente con eso. Somos más maternas. Aunque todavía no lo veas, ya lo quieres. Ya lo quieres porque tienes la ilusión de verlo y de tenerlo contigo.
Bueno, era lo que yo le decía. Sí lo quiere. Bueno, yo ahorita, mi niño, si me dijeran, se te va a morir, bueno, no quiero, toco madera, ¿verdad? Pero el puro hecho de imaginarme, cualquiera de las dos me dolería, pero me dolería mucho más ya cuando ya nació, yo cuando ya lo vi.
Sí. Es que es diferente. Incluso yo tengo una hermana que ella desafortunadamente le pasó por 2 abortos y la verdad una fue cuando ella tenía los 3 meses y de verdad que le dolió bastante. En la otra ocasión solamente 2, pero eso fue horrible para ella, ¿no? Okay. Y que cuando ya sucedió, pues ya. Bueno, tenemos aquí a nuestro invitado, al señor Walter Rivers, y pues ahorita vamos a empezar a platicar nuestro inglés, ¿verdad, Sergio?
Claro que sí.
Welcome.
Walter,
Perla. Nice to meet you.
Walter is, I think, one of the best persons here in Chicago. If you want to ask something about fitness and nutrition, he'll be the guy.
You'll be the right one to ask.
Un aplauso.
Awesome. Great. So you're a nutritionist, right?
Well, not a nutritionist.
Okay.
Wisdom of nutrition.
Okay. 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 I think we're gonna share. There it is. I'm so sorry.
All right. What I do is fitness education, which is education on exercise and nutrition. Traditionally, a nutritionist will work in the clinical setting, and they work now in nutritional settings relating mostly to sports and recreation conventionally. But we have to learn nutrition for our basic needs, but also for fitness needs, to change our body compositions favorably, because we exercise to make our bodies want to change the composition, and then to manage it, and then how we eat is 100% responsible of whether or not that change takes place.
How do we start, Walter? How do we start nutrition? If I want to be fit, I want to say, you know what, I want to look good. And how do I start? How do I get information? What's the first step?
Well, the first step is you have to get a baseline of knowledge about the whole rhyme and reason of this ideology about fitness. Because fitness is like a proverbial word that is taken on a lot of different meanings. And the word fitness was first described as a readiness to serve in the military. Most people don't know that. So fitness literally means that you are capable of doing something. You can be fit to write a book. You can be fit to ride a bike. You can be fit to operate a tool.
Okay.
So we have to understand that we fundamentally start to age right after we go through puberty. That's the way our human bodies work. So we have to understand that we have to arrest that aging, slow it down as much as we can by preventing this rapid degeneration. And that's by developing muscle and then managing that muscle. And then you enjoy a lot of residual health benefits. And then you can talk about the cosmetic benefits.
Okay.
Because without that, the fundamentals being a prerequisite, you're not going to ever achieve sustainability in that look that a lot of people talk about. They want to look a certain way. So in order to look the way that everybody wants to look, whether it's a woman that says she wants to be toned, firm, sculpted, a man says he wants to be able to see his six-pack, or a woman, that is just developing muscle and then having a low enough body fat percentage to be able to see that. So the fundamentals are there. They have to be there for any other ideology to be able to take place in a sustainable way.
And we were talking earlier about that with the, like, most of the time when I say I want to start working out is because I want to look good, and I'm not worrying about my health. I'm just trying to work out because I want to look good.
Right. And you can look a certain way. Your body can change by changing your behavior and your diet. You can even develop muscle, which we all need to do, because we're not born with sustainable muscle. Like I said, we start to lose it right after puberty. But you can do a lot of things wrong and still develop that. But what happens is when you do exercise wrong, you risk severe injury.
Yeah.
But you definitely cause small injuries that will accumulate, and you will pay for them down the line somewhere. So you have to learn how to work out properly and what real working out is, but you also have to eat properly, because eating is 100% responsible for how your body responds to anything.
Oh, wow.
What do you think, Walter, about Spanish people? We are so used to eat pozole, like pork, we like tacos, and the
Yes.
flavor's on the grease. Like
Yes.
when we go to a taco shop, we want to have like the pastor, which is
tortilla with the little
pork
grease
meat
on
with
it.
a lot of spices. I mean, it's hard for Spanish people to let all that stuff go. How do you let that go? How do you can you eat a little bit of fat and then also be fit? How can you manage that?
Well, see, that's an interesting topic, and it comes into line of a baseline of knowledge not being taught to us through our basic education. And it's the idea that certain foods make you fat, and they don't. No food can make you fat. Excess calories on a continual basis will make you fat. Nothing else does. For example, if you ate 100% lard out of a can, and you burned up 2,000 calories a day, and you ate 2,000 calories of lard, pure lard a day, you would not gain an ounce.
Oh, wow.
However, you would not be nourished right. You wouldn't live very long because you wouldn't get nutrients. And if you ate 1,500 calories a day of lard and you burned up 2,000 calories a day, you would in fact lose weight. But you lose muscle even more rapidly than when you go on inefficient diets like most people do. But the point is, no food makes you fat. It's too much of the food. And this is one other big misconception. In food, people say something that's high calorie. Like you're describing foods, and I'm sure you mean they have a lot of calories in them, right?
Correct.
And you mentioned something without maybe even realizing the truth in what you said was the fats and the oils, which are all the same caloric content. Fat, oil, they're all the same. So fat is the most calorie-dense food you can eat. All carbohydrates and all proteins have the same amount of calories per gram, but fat has a little more than twice. So when your diet is higher in fat, then you eat more calories with the same amount of volume
Wow.
as you do with carbohydrates or protein. So again, it goes back to math. Weight gain and weight loss, and I mean gross weight gain and gross weight loss. We never really want to just say weight gain. We want to say what type of weight you want to lose or gain.
Okay.
So just speaking scientifically on gross weight loss, it's always calories in versus calories out, nothing else. But there's more to it because within your calories, you need to get the right nutrients.
Okay.
So you're saying that I can have a diet because living the tacos for me will be like nightmare. But you say that I can have a nice diet and I can still eat tacos once in a while.
You can eat tacos every day.
Yeah,
Wow.
You can eat tacos every day. Now,
Okay.
it's what you put in it. Now you can make a taco
Yeah.
that has a whole different nutrient component and calorie component as another taco.
Oh, okay.
You know, for example, I had a client once that was logging food, and I looked at her log, and she put in a roast beef sandwich, and it was like 1,800 calories. So I called her up. I said, "Where'd you get that from? I thought you were making your food." She said, "Why, I am making my food." I said, "Well, there's no way you made yourself an 1,800 calorie roast beef sandwich." So what it was is she had used an exchange list from a restaurant. And there are some roast beef sandwiches that you can buy in some restaurants that do have that many calories in it because of what they put on it, what they may have marinated or soaked the meat in oil. There are a lot of different things. So the taco, what's a taco? If it's beef, fish, pork, the meat in itself, and the shell is what you put on it that could add calories. So it's learning about what's in the food you're eating and being conscious of what you're eating. But you have to know your math. You have to know the numbers that are right for you.
I have a question for you. Right now, I know that I would like to know a little bit about yourself. I heard that you have a lot of experience doing this.
Yes?
And you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing this.
Well, I've been doing this over 35 years.
Okay.
And everything I've done has been from a research standpoint.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier that we don't have a baseline of knowledge. And what I mean by that, a lot of times I explain it to people and I say, well, if I told you a way you could hit a window with a sledgehammer, but the way I'm going to tell you to hit it with a sledgehammer now, it's not going to break the glass. You would immediately say, wow, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or if I told you, if you went to a doctor and the doctor said, well, the prescription I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a cup of Drano 3 times a day. You'd say, wow, that doctor doesn't sound right.
Of course not.
But with fitness, there is no baseline of knowledge.
Okay.
So anybody can tell you anything. And they can get up and they can look a certain way. Going back to the look. You can say that person looks fit. That person looks like I'd like to look.
Yeah.
And they can tell you anything. And you can't make sense of it because you have no baseline knowledge of it because we were never taught this.
Yeah.
So there are sciences that will relate to this. Anatomy, functional identity and then functional anatomy. Kinesiology, which is the study of human movement as it would apply to working out. Basic knowledge of nutritional needs. And the ability to teach. So I have a degree in economics. But I took a lot of sciences, anatomy with cadavers. I studied kinesiology. I did over 20 years of nutritional training through our nutrition program. And I have the ability to teach. But my experience also, and this goes to another thing that people confuse, and that's bodybuilding. When you are a successful bodybuilder and you change your body, and I'm not talking about crossing the line and using anabolic steroids, which I never did. You are like your own research. You have such a better understanding of the process if you have the knowledge of the sciences also. When you do it, understanding what was the cause and the effect of the changes that you made, and then knowing the sciences that apply. So all my years have been from an analytical research. So what analytical research point of view. So the things that I know are what need to be taught.
Okay. Got it.
So that's my background. That's my mission now, to try to educate people. That's why I talk about education. I want to clarify things and give people the real intrinsic reasons why they need to do this. Yeah. But that's my background. That's how long I've been doing it. And I was, in fact, one of what we call a recognized personal trainer in the country.
Okay.
You know, when this first started, when the first personal training certification program was going to start, I was called to come to the round table, which I didn't go to because I didn't think it was educational. I thought it was just meeting a need temporarily because personal training had become so popular. Like in the 80s, you know, it became real popular. So all of us that were bodybuilders, successful ones, and I mean, we had developed, you know, overtly attractive physiques that people would say. We were the ones who were self-proclaimed professionals, validated solely by the way we looked.
Oh, okay.
So some of us understood the rhyme and the reason what happened. Some of us didn't.
So it didn't really matter back then.
Right. And I didn't know then what I know now. But I did, ever since I was doing this, I did have scientific background, and I have an inventive mind, and I'm analytical. So that's the way I approach things. And it being something that I wanted to do as a profession, I had a different objective.
Oh, okay, so you went further than just the physical look.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The physical look was bodybuilding. That's a sport that just happens to require you to be what we would perceive as ultimately fit. But again, it's an extreme. In fact, when you are in a competition, your body fat is really unhealthy because your body fat is so low. So you can see, the judges can see your musculature. It's an unhealthy body fat percentage.
So it's not really that healthy. I have a coworker who has a daughter, and she just recently went into a contest, and she couldn't have any kind of fat. She won the contest. She did really good, but there's only certain things that she could eat. So that doesn't mean that she was actually healthy. Well, correct.
If she was successful with competition,
she was.
Then, if she was in that condition, what would represent the epitome of a bodybuilder in a competition, then her body fat percentage was actually lower than what would be healthy.
Yeah.
When a woman's body fat percentage gets too low, her hormones stop functioning properly. If a woman is still, you know, premenopausal, she may even stop having a menstrual cycle. So if you could get sick because your immune system's not working properly, and no one stays at that low body fat percentage for a long period of time because it would be, I mean, just physically unbearable. I mean, you're really suffering.
How true is this, Walter? The woman the women are naturally born to store fat. Is that true? Is that something, you know, right now?
You say a woman versus a man?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, every human, our bodies are efficient fat storing machines. That's just how it was from the beginning of the time when humans had to go long periods of time
without eating,
without food. So our bodies store fat easily. And fat is a very important part of your body. It's the excess fat that becomes a problem that can be unhealthy, or it could just be cosmetically undesirable and cause you psychological issues. But women naturally have more fat, a higher percentage of fat than a man.
Yeah, it's so hard to lose weight, right? For a woman, I think for men it's a little bit more easier.
It's been harder traditionally because women didn't develop muscle, and they allowed the natural degeneration of muscle to occur because they didn't develop muscle because they thought they would look masculine, which they're not, unless a couple of things are prevalent, and we can get into that. But we naturally have a difference in hormones. That's what allows us, that's what causes us to have more muscle and allows us to have more muscle. The difference in our hormones. Yeah. So unless you have an overabundance of male hormones, which some women do, or you put those male hormones in your body, you can't look masculine. Those are the differences in us.
Yeah.
So women naturally have a higher percentage of body fat than men, and women have suffered trying to lose weight because they've always gone about it in these gender-based ways, which are not true, and they've cheated women. Women have been cheated more than men about fitness.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't even know that, so now I know that we can both lose weight at the same time.
See, the thing is, so many options right now, like when you, time for you to eat, like you want to go to work and you want to get something fast to eat, and how do you know with all those options what to eat, and how do you work out easy, you know, because you have to go to the gym, you have to work, and then by the time you drive to the gym, you come back home and you tired and all this stuff, you know.
Right. Well, see, you said a whole lot of different things in that short comment, and this is the problem when we don't have education and we don't know better, because fitness has gone off on some tangent that is, in some ways, is hard for me to believe. But understanding that there hasn't been the education, then I can see how it went that way with our current marketing. It's all about hype to get you to make a decision to spend your money on something.
That's
because
true.
it sounds good. So it's the education factor. Even eating food, like if our restaurants provided different food, some restaurants, which are being more conscious now, but if they were really conscious about what they put in food, they don't have to make food as calorie rich as it does. But this is something that happens. So once you get educated, though, about food, you can eat. If you're going somewhere where you wouldn't be able to eat anywhere but McDonald's, and I'm not knocking McDonald's, but I'm saying you were on some restricted diet, because I believe that's what you're coming from, that you're on a restricted diet while you're trying to be in a calorie deficit because you want to lose some fat weight. Am I right that this is the perspective we're coming from?
Well, no, I was, but most of the time I hardly work out. I work out a little bit and that's it.
That's
and,
mistake number one.
Yeah, and or I start very excited at the beginning of the year. I want to work out. Couple of weeks, my muscles start to hurt. I quit, and then and I start getting those protein shakes and trying to eat healthy and all this stuff, and then I get back to my regular life and I forget about everything.
Because we're like so busy all the time. You're running back and forth to work, to school, the kids. So it's kind of hard, you know?
Well, see, that happens
you
when you have
recommend?
the wrong information.
Yeah.
It's just, see, like I said, when people make general comments like that, I'm hearing a whole lot more than you think you're saying.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm hearing a lot more than you think you're saying, because I'm thinking about what the real problem is and the solution. So you make a broad statement, but there's a lot in the statement. Like you mentioned working out. That's one aspect. Eating right is another aspect. And what people don't understand is easier to do it the right way than it is to chase all these wrong ways. That's one thing people have to get to, because it's easier to keep doing the wrong stuff or trying, and you're not going to be successful. So when you're working out, for example, and you're getting sore to the point that you don't feel like you want to work out, you're working out wrong. You're probably hurting yourself while you're working out. And most people do that when they work out, because they don't work out safely, effectively, and efficiently.
Or we don't know how to do it either.
Right. So that's one issue.
Okay.
So another issue about eating, once you learn what's in food and what you need as requirements, no matter what, then you will learn how you can eat right. And they all work together. You could be working out and be malnourished as far as general nutrition and get aches and pains because you don't have the nutrients your body needs to recover from a reasonable workout. I'm not talking about recovering from some torturous workout, because there's no reason to be tortured or feel pain or any of that when you work out.
I went once to the gym, and we were checking out this personal trainer, and it was me and my coworker, and it was so hard because she made us do all this exercise. When we were done, I couldn't walk. I couldn't even go down the stairs, and I'm like, oh no, this is too hard. So I think she went a little bit too far with us. Is that maybe?
Well, what you're telling me sounds like that, me not being there. And, you know, it's a shame, this whole education thing, because personal trainers, you know, I spoke about the first personal training certification that was going to happen here. It started at NASM, that was here in Chicago.
Okay.
And I didn't go to the round table because it didn't sound like it was serious. There was no education.
Yeah.
Because the idea of having a certification and there's no education is like saying we're going to have bar exams and there's no law school.
Yeah.
And this is literally where this has gone. And they have some programs in some of the colleges, junior colleges, that say you get a fitness degree, but they're taught by kinesiologists and they're mostly sports and recreation based, which is wrong. You will hurt yourself doing workouts like that. And they're not sustainable. You're not going to continue to do it. Just like you say, you start doing this, you feel sore. Who wants to be tortured all the time?
Yeah.
Then it becomes displeasurable, and it's bad for you in the long run. Like I said, when you work out wrong, you risk severe injury, but you definitely cause little small injuries that you're going to pay for later because they accumulate. So the trainers, it's a shame that we haven't had real education for trainers, because a trainer can have 20 certifications and they can be certified by 20 different agencies, but does not mean they're qualified.
Yeah,
And it's a shame, and it's not the trainer's fault. You don't have to defend the trainers. And most people that are trainers, they want to help people.
Yeah.
They genuinely want to help people. But when you combine that with some of the nonsense, and I call it blatant nonsense that they're being told in these certifications or supposedly continuing education programs, which I don't know how you can continue in education when there wasn't any education for the basis.
Yeah.
So, and then also with the market and the consumer that has been inundated with all these crazy ideas, and they come in demanding certain things, and then the trainer's in the position, well, I don't want to lose the client because I have to eat, so I'm going to have them do this gimmicky stuff that they saw, and I'm going to try to make this working out fun.
Yeah.
And then too, we can talk about the whole idea of how personal training is gone and how crazy that is even too, because it's really bizarre how people even view personal training, especially long-term personal training.
Walter, how do we know that we are getting the right information? How do we know that that a person like you that has a lot of experience and I know because I've been working with you with over 5 years now. How do we know that we are talking to the right person?
That's one of the most difficult things for the consumer now, because there's no baseline of knowledge. A person now, the popular acceptance is, do you have a certification? And that's a shame, because a certification doesn't mean you know anything. You don't have any education. You can go online and take a certification course.
Yeah, I was
and
looking
if
at
you
that.
have half an ounce of aptitude, you're going to pass that. And a lot of the stuff on the certification really has nothing to do with what the person should know about exercise and nutrition. And I put that in the description of what we call physical fitness for the human body: exercise and nutrition.
So it's very hard nowadays because when you go online, you see everything. You can, they could give you some diets and you follow them or some exercise, but that doesn't mean we're doing the right thing.
Right.
Because there's no back basis. I mean, there's
No baseline.
no baseline. Yeah.
No baseline.
So
knowledge.
that means that just because, they're trainers, that doesn't mean they're doing the right thing. And sometimes we don't have the time to do that research. And we just go and do it like anything,
Right, because you don't have a baseline.
We don't have it. So what you're trying to tell us is that we have to look more into it?
Well, you have to see things that make sense with fundamental science.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many misrepresentations,
Yeah.
even terminology. People commonly say, like, I want to lose weight. No, you don't. You want to lose fat. Weight is weight. You don't want to lose bone. You don't want to lose muscle. You don't want to lose any weight in your organs. Now, you might want to lose water weight if you have excess water, if you're retaining water, but you never just want to lose gross amounts of weight. People say, oh, my stomach. Your stomach. You mean your abdominal area, because your stomach is a J-shaped organ. So the terminology, people say, oh, I want to be tight. No, you don't. You want to be loose. You want to be flexible. That's the opposite of being flexible. Oh, I want to, it's just the terminology.
Yes.
We could, if you guys, I like it when people ask me questions, because you can say things like, I can point out to you that these are just things that literally don't make any sense that people say. So when you look at things like that, and a person's experience and their background makes a difference. But the problem is there's no baseline of knowledge for the general public, and we don't teach this in our universities. We teach sciences relative to it, but we don't teach about what we should be calling physical fitness. And it's a shame. That's one of the missions I'm on, to try to educate people about this. And it's not necessarily something that needs to be done through universities.
True. So when I go to your office, what's the first thing that you do?
Well, if you were coming to see me personally, I would do an assessment on you to do some measurements of your body composition that we use as barometers. Okay. We do, subcutaneous fat, and that's a pretty good barometer. But if you really want to know your body composition, you'd have to do something like a DEXA test, which is pretty expensive to do, and there are places that do that. But once you know your body composition, then you can come up with a formula of the nutrients you need, and based on your activity levels and that, how many calories. It's an estimate, and there's charts to use as an estimate of how many total calories you may burn up throughout the day on any given day, average, because you don't burn up the same amount of calories every day unless you did the same thing every day under the exact same conditions. So once you determine that, and the formulas are in the ballpark, so they work over time, because it's not one day, it's what happens over a period of time. And then you can figure out the basic nutrients you need. And then the calories that you burn up over that are considered discretionary calories. So they could be the amount of calories that you burn up throughout the day, because you're not trying to gain weight or lose weight, gross amounts of weight. Or they can be calories that will put you in a deficit because you want to lose some fat weight. Remember, that's the only weight you want to lose is fat weight.
The fat weight, yeah.
So it's individual. So you make that assessment on a person, and then I would discuss with them what they really have to do to change their body composition favorably. And that involves the physical requirement, which is no more than maximum of 180 minutes a week, a physical requirement, the workout, the physical workout, and how they would have to eat. And then I would get into, where are you going to do this physical workout? Are you going to go to a public gym? If you are, what's the right one for you to go to? Because one might be right next door to you, but it's not the most convenient because they might not have the right equipment.
Exactly what I need to know.
They might not have the right equipment. So I always advocate to people to put something in their homes. That's what I advocate, because that's where I believe it should be. Even if you're going to still go to a public gym for other things you do in the public gym, or you're going to go there to actually work out. But I think it should be in your house, and I call it the missing furniture in most people's houses.
Oh, wow.
So I go through that whole consultation. So a person I give them that baseline of knowledge of this. And then they can make a decision on how they're going to endeavor to change their body composition and manage it.
Yeah, because usually when I go on diets, because that's what I try to do, I always lose leg and all this part, but I always maintain myself big from the top. So it's very hard. Then I just stop doing it because I'm like, you know what, I don't want to lose more of my legs. I just want to lose my upper body. Fat on the upper body, because I tend to store a lot of fat in my upper body.
People do store fat in different areas, than another person, but it's still the same thing. You have to be in a deficit over a period of time for your body to want to take those fat stores and convert them into energy. It doesn't work any other way. It's just math. It's science, and that can't change for anybody, for any human being.
So Walter, they go to your they call you and make an appointment. Then you check the body composition, and then you see.
Well, we go over other things too. Yes.
Okay, and then you do like a program as well. You do kind of like a program for each individual.
Yes.
And how about how do I know what equipment, if the ones on TV are okay? If I got anything.
No, I do the whole thing. Do you mean infomercial commercial?
Yeah, like the equipment on TV when I see it. No, okay.
None of that works.
And the glorified stories.
Yes.
No, that doesn't. That doesn't.
How about
work.
Walmart has some equipment too?
Well, it's, you don't have to be rich to have home equipment. You don't have to be rich to do it. But it's not something that costs you $50 or a couple $100 either. Okay. That's just not gonna get it. And most people, I had a lady not too long ago tell me, well, I don't want to put anything in my house because everybody I know that has equipment in their house, they say they don't use it. Yeah. And that's just probably because they have the wrong stuff. Then she started naming stuff like treadmills and things like that, that's their equipment. Where it's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of cardio, but that's what you don't have to do. And people don't understand. There's nothing wrong with doing some, but if you have a reason for doing it, and if you don't do a whole lot, it's not going to hurt you. But if you do a lot of endurance exercise, it will hurt you. And it can accelerate your muscle loss, which you need to prevent.
See, that I didn't know, because my friends are like, no, you got to do cardio and you lose weight quicker. But see, that's the wrong information there.
Well, cardio, like people say, cardio can help me burn up fat.
Yeah.
It can, because it can increase your deficit, the calorie deficit. But by how much? I mean, a person your size could run on the treadmill for an hour, and I bet you won't burn up 300 calories. So what is it? What was that worth? And then, and the pounding on your knees, the jarring of your uterus because you're a woman, and other things like that. Why would you do that? What is the reason you're doing it? So you need to understand why you're doing it, what you're doing, and how does that fit into your equation. And cardio is something totally unnecessary, what we call cardio aerobic exercise, and can be very dangerous. There's nothing wrong with doing some, but you need to understand why you're doing it, the reason you're doing it, and what the benefit is. And is that worth it to you? What's mandatory is what we call weight training, strength training, resistance training. People have given it a lot of different acceptable terms. And it's doing resistance training. It doesn't mean free weights, machines, whatever it is. Your body doesn't know the source of the resistance, but it's resistance training to do one thing, develop some muscle because you're not born with enough and you're not going to keep enough, and then manage it. That's all. That's all that's required. That's what's mandatory. The other stuff is elective, and it could have a place in your repertoire, but you have to understand. Well, you have to understand why you're doing it. Yeah. Because it's not required to be totally fit. You don't have to do any aerobic or what we call cardio-specific exercise. You just don't.
Wow. See that's good
and that's one of the things. Like on TV, you see this program, the P90 something, and they running and sweating, and you say you have to work out very hard, very hard. Is that so? That's kind of like not true, right? Or is it true?
See, P90X is kind of a balance on because they have you doing a lot of weight training, and you have to do weight training, resistance training. Is it effective and is it efficient, safe and effective? No, it's not the most efficient, effective, and safe thing, and it's kind of torturous if you do it. Like they say, there's a lot better ways to work out. And then there's no real instruction. You're watching a video and trying to
just follow the guy.
I call it monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
That's why I try to stay away from the DVD that I've been working on as an educational DVD. And it does have exercise demonstration, but it has lecture. And it's meant for you to look at it like you're watching like a video textbook all the way through. And then you try to learn how to move your body. It's not to replace personal health, but if you are a self-motivator, you can do this without having any quote personal training. Yeah. But it explains how to move your body to exercise all the different parts of your body safely, effectively, and efficiently. Like I said, I like to tell people it's not monkey see, monkey do. Like you plug it in your DVD and you jump around in front of it.
And you don't even know if you're doing it the right way either. You just don't know.
Because there's no instruction.
Yeah.
So PX90 is, I call it in between being something that's right, and because you don't have to be tortured and feel pain and all that to work out. And the thing about muscle confusion, and I hear words like that, that's all really literal nonsense. I mean, I don't know how you confuse a muscle. Well, it's things that people accept as legitimate terminology. You can't confuse a muscle. I mean, what do you mean? Well, I mean, when you say that physiologically, what I'd like to have that explained to me. Exactly what do you mean?
I guess they're just trying to make it sound fancy, so you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, because that's the thing, because we're not getting the right information. We just look at it and we're like, oh yeah, let me do this, but we're not really being educated.
But there's no education. And what I think is, sometimes I think it's just a way to try to hype stuff, but it's actually because there's no education from the people delivering it. And what I believe is what's being interpreted is plateaus, where your body is getting neurally adapted to one thing. So you have to do something more challenging if you haven't gotten to the point where you need to be. And I believe that's the misconception of words like muscle confusion and things like that, because you don't have knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you don't have words to explain what you're trying to teach people. And if you can't do that, you can't really teach anybody.
No, you can't.
Walter, I went to your website and I see a word that I never heard. But it's kind of confusing. It's sarcopenia. What's sarcopenia?
Sarcopenia is the medical term for age-related muscle loss. And it was just given that name in the mid-'80s by some researchers at Tufts University, a doctor, a PhD, and some other people that collaborated on a book that was written called Biomarkers. What they did was studies on elderly people, which I wish it would have been done on the whole population. And they called age-related muscle loss sarcopenia. And they had elderly people weight training, and some of them gained so much muscle, some of them that were in wheelchairs got them walked.
Wow.
So it's something that's been going on forever. And what's really still kind of backwards and lacking in education for the public is that sarcopenia is only identified in people once they've aged enough that you see the signs of muscle loss, the weight gain, the loss in abilities and things like that. Or someone that's been bedridden for a long time and they suffer severe muscle loss and they're debilitated. When it should really be communicated to everyone, because like I said, right after puberty, you start losing muscle. Like anything, once we go through maturation, we start to die. Yeah. So, and that muscle loss is the number one accelerant of that. But the progression is so slow, it can be unrecognized, especially in younger people.
So I can suffer from sarcopenia and not know that I have the problem?
Oh, you have it. Everybody has it. That's how humans are made. Sarcopenia is age-related muscle loss. Once you go through puberty, you start losing muscle. And people think, oh, I still have muscle. Well, you don't lose all your muscle. A 5-pound muscle loss can be debilitated to you. If you took an arm, for example, and put it in a cast, we've all seen somebody like that, or we've experienced ourselves. Yeah. What happens when you take that cast off after just 6 weeks?
Your arms much
it's all
thinner.
shriveled up.
Yes.
Muscle atrophy, muscle loss from the equivalent of bed rest, inactivity, because you haven't used it. That arm's been immobilized. So what's the first thing you have to do so you can use that arm again? Develop enough muscle to be able to use it, right?
True, yeah.
So how do I fight sarcopenia? How do I fight if I don't want to suffer when I'm older and I don't want to?
You have to gain muscle and then manage it. You have to gain it and maintain it through exercise and nutrition. Oh, wow. There's no other way. And it's not cardio, aerobics that can accelerate your muscle loss.
Oh, wow. So that makes it worse.
Yes.
Do you talk about on your website or your CD, you talk about this issue or?
Yeah, on the DVD, I talk about sarcopenia.
Okay.
And I actually have a link or two maybe on my website where you can listen to different doctors talking about sarcopenia and muscle loss and how people have to gain muscle. A lot of them don't know the ideal way to gain the muscle.
Well, how do people that are listening right now? How do they contact you? What's your information, your number? How do people?
Well, my website is riversfitness.com, and the phone number is 773-715-9258.
Okay, and do you have any Facebook page?
Yes, I
Twitter?
have a Facebook.
Do you want to tell people?
Facebook is just Walter Rivers.
Walter Rivers?
Yeah.
Okay. Facebook. Okay.
So how did your
well, there's Rivers Fitness too. There's a business page, Walter Rivers and Rivers Fitness. You'll see them both on Facebook.
And if people want to buy your DVD, how do they do that? How can they buy your CD?
Well, they can go to the website and order it.
They'll get all the information.
riversfitness.com. Well, the information's on there to order it. Yes.
Okay. So do you want to say the address again? Where can they go see you again?
www.riversfitness.com.
Okay. And can you post on your Facebook? Can you post on your Facebook, your website, so when people look at how do they find you on Facebook? Just Walter Rivers, and if they want to go from Facebook to your website, you're gonna have that information there.
I believe they can just bring up Rivers Fitness on Facebook.
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, we're very happy that you joined us today. And you gave us a lot of good information, things that I really didn't even know that now I know. So that means I have to start educating myself as well. So and maybe we'll be going over there to visit you.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. And like I said, my mission is to educate people.
Yes, and you really did today. You educated me.
Yeah.
With a few things.
A lot of things, like Walter said, we are misinformed. We follow
Whatever we
by
see
what we
out
see
there,
on TV,
yes.
or and we doing the wrong thing all the time.
Yes.
But like I
are.
said, it's not the fault of the trainers. Most trainers that I know, they want to help people.
Yeah.
And they want to do the right thing. They want to help people. And not all the information is wrong. I say most of it is wrong or erroneous, I should say. And at best, it's inconclusive.
Yeah, it is. It is. So,
Great. So, Walter, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here on the show.
yes.
We were very excited. I told Javier that you're coming, and then he's who's Walter Rivers? I said, you don't know Walter Rivers? If you're from Chicago, you have to know Walter Rivers.
Yeah, the same thing to me. But, it's a pleasure having you. I'm glad you came and you gave us all this information. And, well, we just have to educate ourselves, right?
That's right.
There's a video. There's a video of Walter when he appeared in a show. Remember you put a video of your on a show with a very nice bodybuilding show.
One of the last bodybuilding contests.
When was this, Walter? When was this?
That was in, I believe, 84, 85, 84 maybe, 1984.
And he was on his 20s, right, Walter?
Well, I was almost 30. Yeah.
Oh,
You look younger then.
You
84,
have
I
to
was
you have to
29.
see this video.
Okay.
You have to see this video. Well, Wart is performing with another bodybuilder lady, both of them, showing the muscles. But what it really, what I like the video because I saw it on Facebook when you post the video, and then he mentioned I've been there.
Wow.
I done it. I've been there, and I like the quote that you put because